Hi, my name is Kimberly Dawn, and this is the Top Instructor and Student Facebook Community Explainer video. The point of this video is to answer a lot of the commonly asked questions. Basically, what is it? What's going on inside? And is it of any benefit to me whatsoever? So I made a video so you can stop and rewind as much as you want. But as you can already tell, I am recording this video in one take. So if I make a mistake, if I flub my words, you can just pretend we're having an in-person conversation. Also, I'm a huge dork. So I put together a slideshow because that is kind of my jam, making flight training easier and more fun and a little bit more visually entertaining than just looking at my big ugly mug. So if you'll allow me to share my screen, we'll get going with those slides. Okay, so the Top Instructor and Student Facebook Community is an adaptation due to the COVID shutdowns of March of 2020. I lost my flight school. I lost the ability to mentor my flight instructors that were working for me. I was chief of a very large flight school at the time, and I just felt really out of touch. But I realized that being forced to go online to keep in touch with my flight instructors, I could keep in touch with many more flight instructors. So I've always been on a mission to make flight training faster, easier, cheaper, more fun. And inside of the community, we're actually a new breed of flight training professional. This actually only includes flight instructors or flight training students. So that's exactly who I'm set out to help here. And the purpose is to bridge the massive gap that I saw in flight training, primary flight training. Now, primary flight training was developed in the World War II, and it was set such that, of course, flight training being a one-on-one type environment, that they would take fresh commercial pilots or freshly trained pilots and use those freshly trained pilots to do a little bit more teaching training and then train other brand new pilots. And that system has stuck around with the regulations in every country that I've ever seen. You can be a fresh commercial pilot and get an instructor rating with a little bit more training to train other fresh people. And it was designed this way to accommodate the extremely high demand of flight training back then. But that demand actually hasn't gone away. We still have an extremely high demand of flight training. Even with the COVID shutdowns, flight training is still booming. And we still, of course, have a lot of instructors doing a lot of different things. And maybe I shouldn't say this on YouTube, but I call it the flight training game of telephone. So the government tells the senior instructors, and the senior instructors tell the junior instructors, and the junior instructors tell the student pilots, and it leads to a lot of unstandardized creativity. Okay, that tends to be very expensive and very time consuming. So the biggest problem in flight training is actually a significant lack of standardization and mentorship and an uncomfortably limited teaching skills of the flight instructors. When I started 20 years ago, it was 18 years ago, I got my instructor rating. I was given a 200-page manual called the Flight Instructor's Guide, the first 50 pages of which talked about the science of learning and how to impart knowledge and how to inspire and how to answer questions. And I thought this was because I thought this was a little strange because most teachers that I knew have a 7-year teaching degree, and I was given 15 pages, or sorry, 50 pages of how to teach. Okay. And due to the system, like I already discussed, most flight instructors are already very inexperienced in the skills themselves. I'm not saying all, like there's lots of ex-airline and people out there that are just doing a wonderful job of bringing up the standard of everybody. And it's not the fault of these new flight instructors. It's just the fault of the system. I can't count the number of times that I've taught an instructor how to say master steep turns in 2 flights. And they say to me, oh my goodness, I wish I would have learned it that way when I first started. I can't count how many times I've heard that from commercial pilots, from my instructor candidates, even from my senior instructors that fly with me. So instead of giving all of my tricks and tips and the art and science of teaching and learning flight training to one person at a time in the airplane, I've decided to give it to anyone who is dedicated to excellence. If you are dedicated to excellence, then you might want to stick around. If you're not, and you're just like enjoying being mediocre, then you can go ahead and shut off this video now. Okay. So to come back to the COVID shutting down my flight school, I realized that I still wanted to keep in contact with my flight instructors. I still wanted to help other flight instructors just be awesome. Okay. So in the evolution of this community, I came upon far too many students that were struggling who didn't have an instructor, let's say, with the mindset to be in the community. And I couldn't let them waste their time. I couldn't let them waste their money on their training. So the community is now adapted for every lesson that I teach is adapted for flight instructors and flight training students. So the flight instructor perspective and the flight student perspective. Keep in mind that inside this community, I'm going to tell you in a future slide everything that you get and everything that happens inside of it, but this is not ground school. This is a group for people who want to learn flight training faster, easier, save money, have more fun, but this isn't a ground school, okay? So yes, I do address all of the very difficult concepts of flight training in the air, flight training on the ground, but we also do a deep dive into memory tricks. That's not taught in ground school. We dive into study hacks, not taught in ground school. We dive into the pro tips that I've been giving my flight instructors for, coming up on a decade, 12, 13 years, that everyone needs to hear. And just really the way to get your goals done faster, cheaper, while having more fun. Boy, I'm sure glad that I gave you the caveat that I was doing this in one lesson, because that came out really difficult. All right. Who am I? Well, I'm a Canadian Class 1 instructor with an ICAO certifications and a bunch of other stuff. You can find this on my LinkedIn profile and my bio video that's on my YouTube channel. If you want to know lots more about me and all of the certifications and all of the things that I've done in the last 20 years, you can head over to those. To keep it short, I'm just going to say that I learned from the masters of other industries, other people that are way smarter than me on a daily basis. And I love translating it into flight training to help others be total rock stars. Okay, this is a paid group. I'm not here to add to your student debt, but it is a paid group. I will explain the cost breakdown in the next fast couple of slides. But if you are just utterly convinced that you want to be around awesome people, then head to my website, advancingaviation.com, and let's get into exactly what there. Okay, so if you head over to the website and you want to see the free courses that I have available, or the paid courses, free courses, many of them are coming soon. I hope I don't have to re-record this video. I hate doing them. So far, the library has 5 courses filled with videos because I'm launching more very soon. I don't want to deep dive into what's on the website as well. So head over to the website, advancingaviation.com, sign up for a free account, and you can see everything that's available in there. Okay, now inside the community, what do you get? If you want to be a part of this paid group that's not ground school that I make all these promises for, what do you actually get? Okay, this is not a ground school where you're going to fall asleep. It's not a seminar. First and foremost, you get daily live training by me. It's done in digestible pieces, all recorded and kept and labeled. And there's hundreds in the library with the hashtag of Top Instructor Daily. So I go live daily in the group for 15 to 20 minutes and teach you on the subjects that will make your training faster, easier, and more fun. Okay, everything from the 7 learning factors to we did a class the other day on understanding dew points in what I like to call my 5-minute cartoons. I take all of these awful schematics and all this complex, confusing information in the textbooks, and I draw on Jamboard and I turn it into a 5-minute cartoon. Okay, all of these are recorded and kept. So as of right now, being that the group has been active for over a year, you've got literally hundreds of pre-recorded material waiting for you. But it shouldn't be overwhelming. It shouldn't be confusing. So there's how to get started videos in there as well. Okay, awesome video. Okay, every day you will get an action step designed with psychology to get you to your goals faster. Again, not taught in ground school. I can teach you how to read a METAR, but no other ground schools are going to teach you the psychology of staying motivated, of staying positive. But on top of that, the memory tricks and the psychology of goal tracking, goal planning, and goal achievement. Okay, and so just coming back to that, the action steps every day are designed with that psychology to help you get to your goals faster. And they were 5, 10, 15-minute action steps. It's not 4-hour action steps every day. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to get is free coaching Wednesday. So you get personal coaching time with me, live format. You can ask whatever questions you want at all times. So once a week, I go live in the group, and anyone who wants to show up and ask their burning questions, I've had people ask questions about, how to get a job, how to do interview, how to explain the hydraulic system to their new students, how to figure out what exactly density altitude is. So it's a variety of topics and it's personal coaching. So you can get exactly what you need from me live, no pre-recorded. Okay, next, you're going to get a private community of people just like you. We do Coffee with Kims on Sunday mornings and a whole bunch of other events. You get networking. There's people in this group that are 13,000 hour private corporate jet pilots flying Gulfstreams. There's people in this group that have 20 plus years on a turbine twin otter on floats or amphibious that has flown all over the world. There's people in this group that are training captains at many of the largest airlines and flight sim training instructors as well, who like to give tips and tricks on those of us up and coming, but anyone dedicated to flight training. There's float experts and aerobatic experts. There's people who own flight schools and brand new students, and all from 11 different countries. If you want good networking and people that are like you, dedicated to excellence, that's in here. There's not the trolls from every other free Facebook group out there, okay? Next, you get accountability using psychology to help you work at your peak at all time. And what you'll also get is, of course, all of the checklists, all of the guides, all of the trackers that your flight school doesn't give you that I've created to help you be a total badass. And you'll also get exclusive experiences that no one else has access to. For example, the up and coming soon aerobatics camp and training weekend. So it's a very luxurious weekend stay at a bed and breakfast in the Rocky Mountains up here in Canada. You get to do aerobatics ground school and training, personal training with the instructors from all over the country. And then you get to ride in some Harvard, so some Warbird, and do some aerobatics with those international aerobatics pilots as well. So this is stuff that, of course, I created with the people in my network, remember the last slide, that we've come together to make absolutely amazing experiences for only top instructor and top student members. Now, what you're going to get is also when you sign up, you're going to get a free session with me. So this free session with me is going to be breaking down how to train faster and how to best utilize the group and personalized advice on how you can overcome your obstacles as quickly as possible. All right, is it worth it? Okay, if I were to add up everything, I'm not going to bother going through this. You can just pause the video if you want to, but blah, blah, blah. It really works out to $22,000 worth of training. And obviously, I'm not going to charge you that. I should be charging $2,000, $3,000 a year to be in this group. But the breakdown really is you're going to pay $48. I don't need your money. This is not designed to make me rich. Okay. I do have to charge in a yearly subscription. I know that in the beginning, when I started doing the monthly subscription, it was a wild failure and there was a lot of problems with that. As soon as we went to the yearly subscription, people actually started seeing their own progress and having better expectations, using the psychology, having better expectations of themselves and the system. But that's not to say that if you hate it, you can't get out of it, right? So full 30-day money back guarantee. You come in, you try, you test. If you hate it inside a month, I don't need your money. You just say, send me an email. Hey, Kimberly, I want out. Great, you're out. You get all your money back. Not a problem. Now, let's compare this to something else. I said that it was $22,000 worth of training, but let's compare it to something else that would be, under 600, say a weekend seminar. Right? A weekend seminar would be you crammed into a room, sweating with a whole bunch of other people, drinking from the fire hose that is a seminar, and you only cover one subject, right? The group, the community dedicated to excellence, the daily training, everything that you get covers every possible subject that you could need to be successful, no matter your aviation goals. Being a recreational pilot, or you want to work for the airlines as a training captain, and everything in between. For $48, that's equivalent of roughly, say, the Disney Plus account or a Netflix account. If you have both of those subscriptions, with most people do, per month, you get to watch, TV. You get to zone out. You don't get to, you get to relax. But imagine if you take that hour of time, or maybe 2 or 3 or 6 for some people, right? You take that hour of time and you dedicate it 15, 20 minutes to listening to the live daily training and doing the action step and moving your career farther forward faster. Wouldn't that be worth it? Um, it's also one meal out, right? If I were to come back to this one, it's also one meal out. Is it worth it to potentially save thousands of dollars in your training? Is it worth it to network with people who are actually in there looking for the best in other people? People have gotten opportunities inside this group just by connecting. Is it worth it to be at your peak and learn faster? Is it worth it to upgrade before somebody else and get that cool airplane before somebody else? All right. Now, I think it's worth it, but if you want $22,000 worth of training and come on and join us. The last thing that people ask is, but you're Canadian. I don't live in Canada. I don't live in Canada. That doesn't actually really matter. In this group, we have people from 11 different countries and it's growing all the time. All right. If you're wondering what others think, there's a testimonials video on my YouTube channel as well. I have a ton of clips and messages and screenshots of emails with their permission. And if they want to be cropped out, have their name cropped out, they will. Then there's a lot of that on my YouTube channel just to see what others think of being inside the group as well. So this is new. This is very different. And from my perspective, it's very worth it. Well, let's see what you think. So go have a kick-ass day and I'll see you soon.